Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. You know, there are those who will tell you that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin didn't get due process. Some on the right are even calling his conviction a lynching, claiming the jury was intimidated into finding him guilty. These people seem to be taking his conviction personally because they seem to be personally invested in Derek Chauvin and what he did and it being allowed. But the fact of the matter is Derek Chauvin got more due process than at least 90% of criminal defendants in this country. You know, every once in a while in America, we have a big show-stopping trial we all tune into, like the Chauvin trial, and people start to think that a trial like that represents American justice, just like Perry Mason or Law & Order. It doesn't. Thinking that is like watching the NBA and assuming that that's what every pickup basketball game and every level of schooling in America looks like. Trials do not happen that frequently in America. Less than 10% of criminal defendants go to trial. The whole system works on plea deals. Every day, the criminal justice system moves people from arrest to jail to plea to prison. That's the system. If every criminal defendant in America got the Derek Chauvin treatment, full trial, the entire legal criminal justice system would collapse tomorrow. Can't function. Jail, plea, prison. That's the way it goes for, you know, just about everyone, 90% of people, except cops. Cops are often not even indicted by grand juries. When they are indicted, they go to trial with the reasonable expectation they will be acquitted. Going into the Chauvin trial and the aftermath of his conviction, it's been abundantly clear that the criminal justice system is not fixed for the bigger problem here. Nearly 30 years ago, in the wake of the police beating on tape of Rodney King and then the acquittal of 4 Los Angeles police officers involved, when the city and much of the country erupted in outrage, Congress gave the Attorney General a new power to investigate police departments in cases involving a, quote, pattern or practice of conduct by officers that may violate federal rights. This was part of the 1994 crime bill, and they came to be known as pattern or practice cases. In May of 2000, the Justice Department announced it was filing a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Police Department under that law, alleging the LAPD is engaged in a pattern or practice of constitutional violations through excessive force, false arrests, unreasonable searches and seizures, and that management deficiencies have allowed this misconduct to occur. Now, this followed years of misconduct at the LAPD, beatings and shootings, rampant corruption, including a group of officers originally tasked with combating gangs who essentially just became an armed gang themselves. Later that year, the city of Los Angeles agreed to enter into a federal consent decree. That's a mutually agreed upon set of reforms to the police department and then a federal oversight process to make sure those reforms are being implemented. Now, under the Obama administration, the Department of Justice opened 25 of these pattern or practice investigations into police departments. I've read a bunch of the reports issued from them, from Ferguson to Cleveland, one of the most prominent being the probe into the Ferguson Police Department after a police officer fatally shot 18-year-old Michael Brown in 2014. But the Trump administration almost completely abandoned the practice, under both Attorneys General Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr, opening just one investigation into the Springfield, Massachusetts Police Department in 2018. At the time, critics noted what a huge mistake that was, what an unused power.
This Justice Department is not interested in remedying major systemic problems in police departments.
The president, Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr have been uniformly focused on dismantling the police reform efforts that the Justice Department had been engaged in. This Justice Department has really walked away from the role that it needs to play.
But Donald Trump lost and Joe Biden won, and today the federal government is getting back in the game. Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing an investigation into Derek Chauvin's police department.
Yesterday's verdict in the state criminal trial does not address potentially systemic policing issues in Minneapolis. Today, I am announcing that the Justice Department has opened a civil investigation to determine whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing. The Department of Justice will be unwavering in its pursuit of equal justice under law.
Attorney General Merrick Garland will be heading that new pattern or practice probe, along with his newly confirmed number 3 at the Justice Department, Vanita Gupta, now the Associate Attorney General of the United States, who you just heard speaking about the need for those investigations. The Chauvin trial laid bare the dire need for change in American policing. This is one existing policy tool we do have to reform police departments that are broken.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.